Hey guys, MoneyMan300, got another tuning video today. This time it is the Class A Dodge Viper ACR10. This is the 2008 Dodge Viper, and this is going to be an Alps tune, or what I would call a momentum-based tune. And this is to give you a little something different, something that's still competitive, that's not the crossbow or the F50 that you can bring out there in your multiplayer lobbies, or if you're out there just running some rivals time. So this is going to be good for Alps, and probably I haven't driven it there yet, but the Prague type tracks that have cars that are going to have some higher speed turns and what I call a momentum based tune. So let's hop out here on the track and see what we can do with it. I think the rival I have, I just left this Dunk SX75X is already the rival on my leaderboard. You can see at some point in time I have a time out here that's about 546. I'm pretty sure we can best that pretty easily. So we're going after that 381st guy there. Just didn't want to go into the leaderboard and change it. So let's hop out and see what it can do. Okay, so here we are out on the track to run our... Whoa, look out for that. Coming in there. But what that did was dirty my lap. So I did beat my rival on this. So coming in here, run pretty good, but the lap starts out dirty because of the previous one. I run a 1:45.787, which is a pretty good lap. But there's easily a second to a second and a half more into this. You see right there, that was not very good at all, and I brushed the wall right there. Actually, although it started dirty, that would have dirtied my lap anyway, and it probably cost me a solid half a second, you know, in speed coming down the hill. I think I run the rest of this pretty good. I do slide the wall one more time, come in pretty tight on that, which is good. And right here, try to get on it just a little early right there, and just a little brush with the wall too there. So probably lost another half a second. So I did put a time in that would have been about 350th, but would have been way better had I just made two little bit better turns. And even that one I get a little low into there, but able to save it coming back out of there a little bit and run this part of the track pretty well. Able to stay on the gas for the most part through this and carry really good speed through here, and get an early shift before I really start going up the hill, which is a good thing. So not running traction control or anything, really no assists other than the brake line, just not needed in this car in my opinion. But certainly to your preference. See how we finish this up here? You really want to kind of hug and be right around that white line, and then kind of dive inside of it here at the end, and then hop back on that throttle. Don't really use the whole track there, so lost a little time there too. So there's really a lot more left in this car. Like I said, that would have been a time about 350th had I not had a little brush wall there. But yeah, easily could have ran this down in the 144s and even better. So let's head over to the garage and take a look at our build and tune. Okay, so here we are over in the garage, and let's hop in and take a look at our parts on this car. So hop in here. First off, let's head over to our conversion area, and everything's going to be stock here. I have stock aspiration and then stock drivetrain, which is rear wheel drive. And let's go over to the next up is in the engine area, and I have two upgrades in the engine. Number one is the intake manifold and throttle body. I have the Sport. And then the second upgrade we have in this area is the race exhaust. And that brings us to these numbers here. We have 6.5 speed, 6.0 handling, 8.9 acceleration, 8.7 launch, and 6.8 braking. And if we look at our horsepower, we have 621 horsepower, 580 foot-pounds of torque, 3,068 pounds, 49% to the front, and 8.4 liters of displacement. And it looks like we got 3.289, 0 to 60, 7.4, 0 to 100, and a top speed of 162.4 miles an hour, which isn't overly relevant on this track, at least not the top speed. Not going to get there on this track, on the Alps. So that is all the parts that we have in the engine area. Let's hop on over to our platform and handling, and we're going to have race brakes, race front anti-roll bars, race rear anti-roll bars, race chassis, and race weight. We have everything in here. One of the goals with this car for the Alps and other momentum-based tracks like Prague was to get the weight out of the car. Sometimes that's not always important, but with the hill and the fact that this class already starts in A, I felt like this this difference here, and if you look, this is a difference of 333 pounds. That's quite a bit, and you only get 22 PI out of that, which means you're not going to get, I don't believe, enough horsepower to compensate for the weight on this one. So I did do the race weight reduction, and I felt like that was an important piece of this build. Into our drivetrain area, we're going to have the stock transmission. I kind of would have liked to have had the Sport in here to have an adjustable final drive ratio. That can be pretty important on the Alps, but it just couldn't quite make it work. I would have had to take a fair amount of horsepower out, and I think even if I took that the exhaust off of there and the intake, I still didn't quite get to where I could put this on there. It's a trade-off. I don't know. I could have went either way on this. It wasn't terrible with this gearing, but it's possible that this car could be faster, and I may even go back and, you know, now that I'm kind of thinking it through, I may go play around with actually putting that in there. So you might be able to do that, and if you were going to do that, really the only place you're going to gain PI out of that is in here. So if we look at what that exhaust is, so you get 7 of it back there, and potentially, what do we got here? So another couple there. So you'd have to take both of those parts out of there and go back to a stock, lose 20 or 30 horsepower to get that. Maybe worth it. It's possible. The gearing can be really important in the Alps track. So, but for now, we're going to go with the way we have it set up. And then let's hop on over. I do have the drive line here. Don't forget to look in this place when you're all done with your build, because sometimes you get free weight, like in this case. You know, if I go up to here, it's too much. It's not a lot, but it is 4 pounds that I get out of that, and it didn't cost me any PI. So always check there. Occasionally you get a little free weight with that. And then we have the race differential in there. Let's take a look at the tires. We're gonna have stock on the tires. You really can't, and keep this thing in A class, and it starts in A class already. Really can't do much with the tires on this. So we do that. I did upgrade the width. It's really just 1 PI, so we went ahead and did that. And then our wheels are going to be, I think these are about in the middle somewhere, maybe towards the right hand end, but they're the Tenzo R DC6 V1s on there. And then I don't believe, did I do any? Nope, we left the stock 18-inch wheels on the front, as well as the stock and the stock on the rear are 19s. So did not make any changes there. I think you could. I think you can do it, free changes, but I didn't really see the need, and not sure that would have given me anything except a little bit more weight. And like I said, my goal here was to keep this car as light as I possibly could, because it's already a pretty heavy car. And then we're going to have, we have both the race front and rear wing, although in the video it did not look like I had that on there, because every time you even think about brushing up against the wall, the rear wing on this car falls off. So I do actually have it on there, even though I did not really show it in the video. And it's actually, that's right, on this it's actually stock, right? You have to, if you want to, you could take it off. If you didn't want to use that wing, you can actually take it off of there, but it is stock. The front bumper you actually have to put on. So there is that. And I think that wraps it up for the build. Let's hop in and take a look at the tune. So we have 28 and 28. It was pretty good there. It got to about the right temperatures that I was looking for, so I really didn't have to make any adjustments on that one. Our gearing, as I said, can't make any adjustments here. Might have been nice to do so. You can see the way it's geared. 5th gear's like off the chart somewhere, and if you notice in the video, I never got to, and I don't know that it showed my gears, but I never got to 5th gear. I was running mainly 3rd and 4th, not mainly, I was running 3rd and 4th the entire way around that track. So you do not need to use 2nd gears either, so it's really a 2-gear car on that track. Our alignment, lots of camber in this one. Doing a lot to try to hold those higher speed turns, and I was able to do that without losing any stability coming out of the turn. So although you did see, I don't remember, it was a little bit loose in coming out of the turns, and some of that could be attributed to a little bit of camber, but with some decent throttle control, it's really not very hard to control. I was not running traction control or any other assists, so the car does very well without it. It really doesn't need it. So negative 3.5, negative 3.1, 0, negative 5.2 and 5.0 are our numbers on the alignment. Anti-roll bars pretty soft in the front, and this was again to help the car hook up in the middle of the turn because you have those kind of higher speed turns and you really need to be able to hold those on this track, and there's a lot of them. So it took some tweaking of the front roll bars to get it to hook up the way that I wanted it to. Pretty medium on the spring, 638.8 in the front and 616.2 in the rear, 4.3 and 5.0 on the ride height. That's the default, is all the way up, and I didn't mess with it. I suppose you could take it down, but I didn't really see the need to. It was very stable when you went up over turning strips, so I like the way that felt. 99991919 here. Pretty even. I did kind of play around with these a little bit as the car was pushing, and this felt like a good spot where I ended up. Aero, I do have the full aero on here. This is another area that maybe you could play around with. We are running on stock tires, and it was really to help keep the car planted. Again, we're on a track tuning for a track that has those higher speed turns, and more downforce really helps you to hold those turns. So I do have the full downforce on that. 53 and 130, pretty standard for mine, anywhere usually from 120 to 140, and I generally start at 53 and adjust from there if I need to. The brakes were actually very balanced on this. I don't, in any of my test drives or rivals laps, I don't recall ever locking them up or getting squirrely on the brakes. So, and that's actually pretty important on this track, especially at the bottom of the hill. You want to have really good brake balance and a brake pressure that works for you, because that's a spot that's really easy to lock them up, because you might be trail braking a little bit into that, meaning you might be doing a little turning and braking at the bottom of that, and if you're off at all, you could put you up into that, into the grass and into the fence there. So differential 25 and 8, so lower there. That's what I set it at for a default on this one. Just picked that and didn't ever really have to do anything with it. So that is all of our numbers on this. Hopefully this gives you another car in A class that you can pull out when everybody's running their crossbows and F50s, and you can get this out. And it's not that this isn't a leaderboard car, it's just not as popular as leaderboard car as those. You will see a smattering of these here and there, but this will give you just another alternative to take out there, run some rivals, get in the multiplayer lobbies, and it's a car I think you'll really like. So I'm going to wrap it up with that. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.